Next up is Andrew Cole, who will be covering the new functionality included in the Design Center, Survey Terrain, and CAD Pro modules. Andrew?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to be showing you a few of the new Design Center and Survey and Terrain module enhancements that will be available in 8.3. The first new function that I want to show you today is the image cropping function, which allows you to snip out a portion of an image and save this as a totally separate image file with the associated positioning world file. To show you this new function, I'm using this height bay image, which is similar to the one that we use for the survey and terrain training, but this particular image has a much higher resolution. I'm going to draw a rectangle to show you how the add custom clip to image has worked up to now. You would generally select your image, right click and add custom clip to image, and then select the polyline or ellipse that define the portion of your image that you wanted to display, as you can see on the screen. The only problem was then you still had the whole full image working in the background. So I'm just going to undo those changes to show you the new cropped image functionality. So I'm going to zoom into this area over here, my redraw area. I click to select the image and then right click and select the saved cropped image option. I then get prompted for the upper left hand corner and then the bottom right hand corner. Okay, and then I need to name and save this new image file to a folder. I'll just call it soccer field. Save. And then you get confirmation that the image file and the world file have been created. I can now load this new image file into my project. So insert image. And I select the soccer field and the image is tiled and loaded. And thanks to that positioning world file, the image is inserted exactly in the correct position. We can just have a look at these roads to see how neatly it ties in. Okay, so I'm relatively happy with that positioning. I can now zoom into that area of the image, and then I can actually delete the large image file, which is still selected, and then just focus in on this portion that I need to work with. Okay, and then I just want to show you in File Explorer how the image file size has been reduced. The new soccer field JPEG is about 10 megs compared to the initial file that I used that is about 1,500 megabytes. And then note the positioning file, the JGW, with the correct insert coordinates and those pixel distances. So it's the same pixel size as the original image, so you don't lose any picture quality. So quite a nice new feature. Okay, moving on to this next new terrain module function that you guys are really going to appreciate. We now have this new remove invalid lines function, which will automatically check for and remove any invalid or crossing lines in your DTM surface. This is going to save you a lot of time when trying to validate your model. To show you how this function works, I have a project with a terrain surface that was created by translating some roads along with their intersections to a DTM surface. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is I'm going to run the validate model function, so model validate model, to check for any errors in the triangulation, and just select the surface. Okay, so no perimeter could be found. Okay, as you can see, the validate has picked up some errors. If I zoom in, you can actually see there are some crossing lines in this area. Alright, so now I'm going to run this new remove invalid lines function, and that should sort out those crossing lines. So it's model remove invalid lines, the surface, and then you can see the CPU working on multiple cores. And then at the bottom here, you'll see that we removed 4 crossing lines. Okay, and then we just run the model validate model again just to make sure that everything's okay. And always a nice message to get is that line model scanned successfully. Our developers have done a lot of work on the terrain strings recently, and next up I would like to show you some of the major improvements that have been implemented for 8.3. A large part of the terrain strings development has been to make one terrain string see another terrain string. In other words, there's no need to translate to a DTM surface and merge surfaces to tie into an existing string platform. Okay, to show you how this works, I have one string platform and I'm going to design another string platform right next to it. So string from polyline, and I call this one middle, and I'm assigning a fixed height of 252. Okay, delete the CAD. Okay, and then I want to create the child on the outside. So select the string, click on the outside, and I'm grading to a surface, which is my surface 1. And then I'm including the strings model in this grading, in the toe line grading. Okay. Okay, then I just want to switch in the properties. I'm going to switch on the banks so we can see. And then just clear selection. Okay, and then I'm just going to do a render view. Right click render view just to show you how that toe line now has been draped along the DTM and then also along the existing or the previous string. So you can see how neatly that is picked up on that first string bank. Okay, with my third platform, I'm going to show you how you can drape a terrain string on a DTM surface as well as on an existing terrain string. So I'm going to use strings, string creation, and string from polyline again. I'm selecting the polyline. I'm just going to name this one bottom of the 3 platforms, and I'm interpolating on a surface, surface 1, draping intermediate points, and then I'm using the strings model for interpolation. Okay, I can delete that CAD. Okay, and then just to show you the result, I'm just going to go to the render view again, and you can see how neatly the string has been draped on the DTM surface, and for the most part, and then in this section it's draped on the second or middle terrain platform string. Okay, so that worked just perfectly. Okay, and then I wanted to switch the visibility of this third string off. So I'm opening the control center. I'm just going to pin it open. Okay, and you'll see at the bottom there's a new strings tab, which I'm opening up, and then you can see you can switch the visibility of your strings on and off from the control center. I'm also going to the roads and I'm activating this road that I've designed. I'm going to use this road just to show you that you can actually pick up or interpolate from a road design as well. Your strings can also interpolate from the road design. So you'll see at the moment our middle platform hasn't picked up the toe line as yet from the row design. So to illustrate how it works, I'm just going to re-height the string. So editing re-height string, and I'm selecting that toe line string, telling the program just to include the strings model in that grading. Just clear selection, and then if I render again, we can have another look. We can zoom in and just see now that it's actually re-heighted it Okay, so, and it's picked up the road design tidy nicely on the road bank. So picking up on existing strings and on road designs as well, string roads. Okay, and then I just wanted to show you there's also a new function, this quick profile viewer, which allows you to extract a long section. In this case, we're using the strings model, but it's going to pick up the DTM surface, the road cross-section, and the string as well. So you can see that quick profile. It's picked up the road, it's picked up that intersection with the bank on the road, and then our platform. Okay, next up in Civil Designer 8.2, we introduced the grade point from another function, which was very well received. This function allows you to add new points or edit existing points on a DTM surface, and these points are heighted based on their distance and slope from an existing point. In 8.3, we've made some improvements to this function. You now have the choice of specifying the slope as a ratio slope or as a percentage. The original function used a default radial method where all points were heighted relative to the original reference point, but we've now added a chained option where the latest inserted or modified point becomes the new reference point. Furthermore, you also have the option of adding break or feature lines to your design as you add new points. For those of you that haven't seen this function yet, I'm just going to quickly add a few points and edit a few. Okay, so I have to snap on my reference point, which is this bottom right hand corner point, and I'm using a 1 in 50 slope, and based on that slope and the distance, it's calculated the elevation for me. Okay, so I'm just going to insert a few more points just perpendicular to those zeros down the mid block. And you can see as I'm adding these new points, the feature line in red is also being added all along the bottom. Okay, and then I'm just going to run grade from an existing point. And in this case, I'm going to change the ratio slope to 1 in 20. And I don't need to add a break line or feature line to add this new point up here in the corner. Okay. And then I also need to change this first zero elevation in the mid block. So I'm going to run that grade point again to edit existing in this case. And I'm using the radial option. So I'm editing this existing elevation. Okay, and then lastly, I'm just going to re-height all those mid-block points. So relative to that reference point, 1 in 50 slope, and it's the chained option. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly re-height all of these down the middle. It's a very useful function if you weren't aware of it as yet. And then the last survey and terrain enhancement that I'd like to show you today is that we can now display bank lines on multiple surfaces. The project that I'm using has 8 separate housing terraces, each designed as a separate terrain surface. Okay, so to show the bank lines, I need to go to display settings. Okay, and then select the bank settings, and to check the box to display your terrain bank lines. And then you've got this new drop down over here, which I can drag the dialog a little bit bigger, where you can see all your terrain surface listed. And I just have to activate number 7 and number 8 of those housing terraces. And then voila, you can see the bank lines showing on all those 8 separate terrain surfaces. I'll just show you in the render view how that looks. And isn't that fantastic? I've got 2 pre-saved views that I can just show you. And that'll be all I have time for today.